Mexican star boy and Pachuca standout Elias Montiel is apparently renewing his contract at Pachuca Liga MX until 2028, I'm hearing. And we had to make a video talking about it because it just came out mid-recording session, so we have to talk about it, of course, because this is a move that is really shocking overall. So, of course, Andres and Diego are joining me today. Andres, being our resident Mexican national team fan, is going to give his opinion today. But before he does, let us know in the comments how you feel about Elias Montiel renewing his contract and not moving to Europe despite the number of suitors he already has. Andres, Elias Montiel stays until 2028. How does that make you feel?
I'm reliving the same dream. You know what I mean? And not a dream, more of a nightmare for the poor kid. I mean, obviously the best player on Pachuca in the club
By far.
by a
By far.
landslide.
Yeah.
Every game he played, he was amazing. And to see this renewed contract, it sucks because I genuinely thought this kid, he's going places. You know what I mean? Like I was like, he's about to go to Europe. Boom, straight off the bat, he's gonna have a great season in Europe. I don't know where he's gonna go, but I was like, he's gonna have so many offers. I was just waiting, and then to be told mid-recording that this man has signed a 5-year deal. It's the curse, man. These good
Yeah,
players,
he's
amazing
loss
players,
of words for this guy. Loss
these
of words.
amazing players are like these kids that have potential, like just go out the window so quickly, and it sucks because these Liga MX teams just don't want to let them go, and it's like, please, just like let
Yeah.
them leave. They can come back when they're old, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just devastating. I just.
And for more context for the viewers, I'm sorry, Andres, but for more context, there is supposedly a special release clause was what's being quoted.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly. For European teams, we don't know the numerical amount there. We don't know what that clause says. But how many times have we heard this where they're going to stay, but it's going to be easier for them to go abroad if they or leave whenever they want to? Yeah, sure. Montiel's going to leave eventually once America wants to buy him. Like, I'm not saying Europe's out of the window, but it's a really shocking move here. But I'm just continue. I'm sorry.
No, it's just, and then it's gonna be easier for the European club to come. And then we already know they're gonna ask for an absurd amount of money. No
Yep.
European's gonna be willing to pay for it. They're gonna come in like probably like I'd say like 10, probably like 8 million, probably fair, maybe less.
Probably more. When it's in a year or two, I could see 15 plus.
Yeah, but we know they're gonna be like, no, we want 30 million, 40 million type thing. It's gonna be like, no, that's just not gonna happen in any scenario. And it's just gonna, and then European teams are gonna lose interest. You know what I mean? Like they're just gonna lose interest. You can't, if you want to grow Liga MX and be a league, right? Like a well-respected league. It already is, but I'm just saying, like, have like that repertoire of like, look, we have these players, they're good. You know, like we're a good farm, like a good development league for young players that are Mexican or South American or whatever. And then you let them go off is great. But the only problem is they don't do that. They don't do that. They keep them there, and then they don't develop anymore. They reach their like high ceiling, even though they can break through that ceiling. They only reach certain heights because they're limited to the competition and what they're used to. And then by the time something happens, they don't want to leave anymore because they're comfortable. And we just made a video talking about Gio Reyna coming to LAFC, being comfortable, all that jazz. And I'm concerned that it's gonna happen again where he's too comfortable. We saw the same thing with Padilla. He came back to Pumas, and then luckily Liga Bilbao said, "Nah, we're getting you out of there again," and then so they withdraw him back to be the second choice keeper for their team. But yeah, I'm just scared that he's never gonna leave now, and he's had such a high ceiling. And I was really looking forward to seeing where he's gonna go this summer, but. I'm a loss for words because I wasn't expecting this, and I was expecting to do like a video coverage of rumors of clubs he was going to go to, not that he's stuck.
Yeah. And to add what you just said, right? Like, we knew some clubs are interested in him, right? Ajax and Lyon being two of the top ones right now. Either would have been a great move. I could have totally seen Montiel play in Ligue 1 or maybe League 2. Depending on how all that works out with Lyon. But, even Ajax, right, in the Eredivisie, that's a great move. He's been scouted by the likes of Real Madrid before. He's played phenomenally 2 times against Real Madrid now. And you mentioned the Club World Cup, right? This is FOTMOB ratings, but if you watched it, you would know just how good he was. A 7-6 rating against Salzburg, a 7-6 against Real Madrid, and a 7-2 against Al Hilal, in a team where he had zero help. Literally zero help. I believe when the group stage was done, he had like the first or second most opportunities created for any team, for any player in the competition, yet his attackers could not finish for shit. They just played their first Apertura game against Monterrey. He finished out with an 8.4 and a goal, right? So he's lights out. The supposed to be the future of this Mexican national team, alongside the likes of Mora, alongside Marcelo Ruiz. Those three being the future, phenomenal, right? We see Marcelo Ruiz, he's about to move to Europe, wherever that's going to be, maybe Ipswich Town, which we just covered as well. That is what you want to do. You succeed. Montiel could have easily moved this summer to a top team, and he stays. And we talked about it in the Gio Reyna video, and I believe the Gio Reyna video is going to come out after this one, so make sure to watch that one as well. But we talked about the lack of ambition when it comes to these CONCACAF players in general. And it's more so a trend from the Mexican team players than the USA, but you see it in all facets of CONCACAF. And this is just another one of those cogs in that machine, man. Like, what is Pachuca telling Elias Montiel to convince him to stay till 2028, possibly? Who, again, Jaime Lozano is the manager here for Pachuca. He still finds a way to come bite the Mexican national team in the ass despite not being with them anymore in any capacity. What is he being told for him to stay here until then? I don't understand, because he is a magnificent player, one of the best midfielders in the entire league, without a doubt the best player for a pretty good Pachuca side when it comes to competitions against our fellow countrymen. Why stay still? It doesn't make sense to me. Now, he's only 19. Yes, he has a lot of time. Maybe we're being a little too harsh on him because he has time to get there. But it's, he do it now. There's no point in waiting longer unless you needed to. Just do it now. Diego Montiel stays at Pachuca. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, obviously disappointing to see him like move, or not move and stay at Pachuca, especially for what is it, like another 3-year contract to 2028.
28, yeah, apparently.
Yeah. So, uh, I think thankfully it is 3 years, which shows kind of maybe a little bit of like, it could have been a lot longer. They could have totally put 5-6 years. But with that being said, it's so disappointing. I hope that, like, because Marcelo Ruiz is hopefully getting that move for him, that maybe even if Pachuca are like, please stay another year or two, whatever, just because they really want to keep him, that hopefully it's not too late for him whenever he gets free of their clutches, whenever he's able to free himself and get that move abroad. Because, like we said, we know he's excellent. He's amazing, even for a 19-year-old, and especially for a Mexican player. I feel like when you're that young, they're usually very, very raw. But he seems just another level, like better than Hibel Mora at this point. Obviously older than Hibel Mora, but I think better than him. I think he's really good. So to not get that move this year is disappointing, like Andres and you guys are saying. But hopefully, maybe they want to keep him for another year. Okay, we can go one more year, but let's not keep waiting too long. The sooner he gets into a tougher league and starts developing at that level, the better. So hopefully he gets that move sooner rather than later. But disappointing for sure, especially if it is that contract. Let's hope not. But if he sticks to that next 2 years, that's a long time. He's 22 by then. Again, I know like I said, Reese is 24, so it's still like time. But it's just the longer you wait, the less time you have to really show what you got and to move into an opportunity that fits you right. And
Right.
it'd be disappointing.
And we're seeing this a lot recently too, right? Where I think Marcelo Ruiz did extend his contract at one point, and now he's just getting his
Mm-hmm.
move. But it gives Toluca more power to request more money, like Andres said, and they want
Mm-hmm.
more money for him. And eventually, they're just gonna. This is exactly, by the way, what I do in my Football Manager save. Where if I have a player, and I just did this, if I have a player that I really want to keep, but he's being looked at, one of the options, right, we were talking to him is saying, "I'll sell you if they give me a good offer." Right. And then you tell them a number that's obviously way too high that no one team's going to pay, and then they end up staying for you, whether they like it or not, right? So we also saw this with Hugo Camberos, um, like not that long ago, like within the past few weeks. He extended his contract to 2028. He also has a release clause for European teams at 6 million, but 6 million for Hugo Camberos is too much, right? It's like Liga MX teams are smart because they set the price tag for him for what they could get maybe in a year, 2 or 3 time. And then it's up to the player to determine whether they live up to that price tag. And if they don't reach that bar, Liga MX team can keep them. And then boom, they have a better team, and the player has to stay there, right? So it's been numerous times this has happened, and the Mexican national team has without a doubt suffered over the years because of decisions like this, where the Mexican national team can produce these top class talents, world class talents, if they just let them go be world class. I've just never have understood why you keep them around for so long. I get it because it makes them money, right? They get this much more money by keeping this player, and all these things. But it's unfortunate because Montiel is one of the best prospects that Mexico's had in a long time, in my opinion, especially in that midfield. I'd be more sad, honestly, if Mora had the same path, which maybe he does, um, or he moves from Cholos to Chivas or whatever. That'd be a little more disappointing for me. But you have, especially for Montiel, you have the World Cup in a year, and Montiel, without a doubt, deserves to be in there, maybe even starting at some point, right? You have that World Cup, and if you're the Mexican national team, what do you want? You want your player, one of your best up and coming players, to have that experience in Europe against whatever opponents in those leagues, and to come back in a year and be able to contribute to the team better. Yes, he's still going to be important for Mexico. Do I think he's going to do good for them still? Yes, but you want that extra bit of experience rather than this Liga MX mindset, because where has that gotten you in the past? Literally nowhere. Like, yeah, you might have a quarterfinal, maybe a semifinal appearance. What does that matter? And it's their fault. It's just another one of those players in that trend. And it's just, this one hits a little harder because he is one of the more talented, with higher potential players in the entire pool for the Mexican national team. Unfortunately, staying at Pachuca, and like that, this might be the last we hear of Montiel for a little bit, to be honest.
But also, why is he agreeing? Why is he agreeing to sign that
Yeah,
contract? Like, I my bet is, obviously we don't know, but obviously it's easy for him to stay. It's comfortable. He knows the situation. He knows he's getting playing time, game time. He knows that the fans love him. Like all that stuff, right? Like it's good for you. But the ambition, and how many times have we seen Mexican players' ambition just not be there? And you're just like, guys, come on! Like push yourself out of that comfort zone. Get to that next level. Even if it means leaving your family and your wherever your friends. And I know it's tough. Like obviously, it's never easy. And I can't say I know what it's like to fly across the world to another league like that. But the ambition to be a top footballer, I feel like if that's not driving you, then it's just disappointment, and
yeah,
you're not going to get it by staying and being comfortable. And so just to of course we can criticize Pachuca, but also be like Montiel, why are we signing that? You're a baller. Go show them what you got out there. But you're staying here, hopefully not too long, but at least for a little while.
yeah. Pachuca and Jaime Lozano and the whole league as a whole, like I said, deserves a lot of the blame. But you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Montiel is half of the equation here. He also put pen to paper. Like what? Which I just want to know what gun they're holding to his head. Because like are all these players, because like it happens so much. We've had this conversation about numerous players for many a time now,
Mm-hmm.
right? On this channel specifically, what is the holdup for all these players? What are they telling them? What are they promising them? Like, yes, you can live a good life here in Mexico, playing for a top team, playing week in week out, making decent money, but like this just is a pattern of there's a lack of ambition with a lot of these players of the Mexican national team, and it's very obvious that the Mexican Federation doesn't care, because you look at the team they start every game, and the majority of them are European based. The only players that start that are not European based are really by necessity, bar Alexis Vega, maybe. Right, but midfield you start them because we don't have many midfielders in Europe and whatnot. You start Gallardo because you're waiting on Mateo Chavez, things like that. You start Jorge Sanchez for God knows what reason, but Malagon because there's no one else, like things like that. But everyone else is in there because they've earned it by playing in Europe, and they're as good, like Edson Alvarez, Raul Jimenez. These players are this good because they moved to Europe, and now they're still starting, especially Raul Jimenez at what, 34, 33,
Mm-hmm.
34. Like if
Mm-hmm.
he was in Liga MX, if he had moved back to Liga MX or stayed, he would not be in this position.
I mean, you can even
And-
argue Vega should be going abroad soon
yeah,
after that incredible season. So,
yeah.
like, I agree with you. I
He's
think
not. He's not.
he's
Yeah,
not, but
He's not.
he should. Like, he had such a great season. He seems like such a dangerous player. I think he should. I know this isn't a Vega video, but I think he should go. I think there's these players that when they perform well, you're like, go challenge yourself, but they stay. And like you said, we had this conversation so many times about so many different Mexican players. Obviously, we tend to focus on the really good ones, but I'm sure it just happens everywhere. Even players that aren't in the highlights and the bright spots that maybe we don't even fully know about, but it's just such a common pattern amongst probably that whole, just the culture over there, that it's just so easy to stay, and it's
Yeah.
just disappointing.
Yeah.
Depression. This was a great summer for Mexican football, like World Cup wise,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gold Cup, national team wise, and then I don't know, it's just this news just really puts a damper on things. If I'm being completely honest, it's just kind of like, okay, we have him probably, like you have, Mexican football Twitter always has like the future predictions for the World Cup, whatever, and he was in there. Like a lot of
Yeah.
fans had him in there, and now you kind of go, okay, well maybe he's not gonna be in there like a little rotation, or he may not just be put in the squad at all, which would be even worse. But yeah, it's just sad, bro. Just because it's gonna be, I don't want to see it happen again. Like same routine, same cycle. I can see it happening. I just beg it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. It's going to. It's going to. I mean, like Diego said, this is a culture thing now. This is a cultural thing when it comes to Mexican national team players and Mexican players as a whole. Is like we've had to deal with this as CONCACAF fans for years now, and you'd think that younger players see that and are like having the same reactions that we are and are saying, well, why not move to these big teams over in Europe? Why are you just staying here? I want to do something different, but we're not. Hugo Camberos, Montiel, maybe more in the future. They're all not doing that same thing. And like yes, you run the risk. You run the risk of having a Diego Lainez career, right? And it really is a shame that he's being used in that light now. But that is just the reality of it all. Diego Lainez had all the tools to be a world beater and be a top Mexican player. It didn't work out. And yeah, maybe part of that was going to Europe. Maybe part of that was putting himself in a but at least he tried. Exactly. You should be looking at that saying, I'm going to be better, not that scares me. But, we're never going to get those answers until people sit down with these players and ask them these questions. But no one's ever going to do that because the Mexican media are never going to do that when it comes to these players because they're just happy they can cover these top talented players in Mexico. Great league, yes, but it's harming itself by keeping these players here. The ambition of the Liga MX should be, like you said, to be developmental and move players on to Europe and really make the country better overall instead of just making sure that you're better than MLS in North America. That is what I see whenever I see these teams doing it. That is how I picture them thinking. That as long as you're the best team in this continent, as long as you're still getting some good money from fellow Mexican players or fans or whatever, that's all they care about, which is very, very sad. Very, very sad. And people clown the MLS a lot for doing the same thing, for having these players that stick around for too long or calling up these MLS players. Like Liga MX in Mexico does the exact same thing. And it's honestly worse in Mexico because they can ship these players off to top clubs. They just don't because they're so stubborn. And I hate that. I hate that. If you have an opinion on it, let us know in the comments down below. And we will be reading and reacting to as many as we can. Maybe there'll be a follow-up video hearing that it's all fake and he is making his move. It's not. That's not going to happen. But you never know. Make sure to subscribe for more Mexican national team and Liga MX content. We got a lot per usual planned, and turn notifications on so you know. Leave a like if you agree with us that Elias Montiel should be moving instead of staying and blah, blah, all that jazz. And hopefully we'll see you guys in future videos. My name was Elijah. That was Diego Andres. We'll see you later. Take care.